Stephen, I think my cold open today is pretty funny. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it after I say it. So, a Lakers fan, is suing LeBron James because he felt like he got duped by his advertisement and bought 2 tickets to the Lakers' final home game of the season. He's suing for $856. Based off of that precedent, I'm starting a class action lawsuit for anybody who bought tickets to Phoenix Suns games last year.
That was a good one.
Psychos and sickos unite for a game-changing edition of PHNX Suns, of course, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and get $200 in bonus bets. I'm Eric, that's Stephen. We got the Freckled Mamba, a.k.a. Fisherton, behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. But, of course, the magic can't happen without all of you joining us live in chat. We've got Big Bear, we've got my dad, we've got Deborah, we've got everybody hanging out with us. Ashley, we've got Dagoon, who's stepping on our whole thing, says a major game changer, always score more points than your opponents. So that's the show. Lexville, Lexville, good to see you in chat. And I want to give a special hello to Nadal Khan Kendall, who is from Australia, their first time catching a show live, 13 years old, says they are our biggest fan in Australia. Specifically, sure. Stephen, they're wanting a shout out from you.
Shout out Nadal. We appreciate you making the time. I don't know what the time is over there, but it's not the same as it is here. I know that. So we appreciate you making that time regardless of what you got going on and being active in the chat as well. Welcome.
Yeah, Nadal says usually an audio listener, but today able to catch the live stream. And of course, Ashley also is an Aussie as well. I know Patrick, one of our diehards, is also an Aussie. So we've got quite the Australian crowd here for PHNX Suns.
International PHNX.
Absolutely. And if you want to support a little bit more, you could become a member. That join button is right next to the subscribe button, which you should have already hit. So if you've already hit it, it's right next to the channel name. Get access to exclusive emojis. I'm gonna have to talk to somebody because we added a couple Suns members last week and we need a new emoji. So I'm going to have to talk to somebody. I'll have to talk to Shane Diefenbach about that. You can become a diehard today as well. We're going to do a whole lot today. Of course, Stephen has a Mercury finals game to cover tonight. So we're going to get out of here pretty close to right an hour on the dot. But before we get there, we will talk about the Lauri Markkanen trade rumors that have surfaced yet again from SI's Chris Mannix. And then we're going to go down the entire roster, Stephen. We'll be talking about one wish list item that if a player can improve on or change, it could be a game changer for them and in turn a game changer for the Suns. But are you ready to talk a little Lauri Markkanen?
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it. Let's talk a little Lauri Markkanen. According to SI's Chris Mannix, he reports that the Utah Jazz are, quote, very open to the idea of trading the former All-Star sometime this season. Not surprising, Stephen, but of course, where the Suns stand right now, a lot of people are going to tie them into any trade rumors to acquire some top-end talent. Would you consider Lauri Markkanen top-end talent?
Well, a question for you and Ayrton.
Okay.
Would you all be interested in a near 7-footer that can put the ball on the deck, they can run inverted pick and rolls, they can be a rebounding machine at times, that can provide rim protection, that has plus athleticism at his position, all while his hallmark skill set that's going to drive the level of success and value he adds to a team, being the ability to stretch the floor, play the 4 and the 5, and knocking down threes at an elite clip, while also being able to pass the ball some.
Sounds awful. No, I think Lauri Markkanen, as far as like a player fit goes, you like it, especially alongside Devin Booker to get a shooting big or, at least a shooting four, somebody who can do all the things that you just said. I don't think a lot of people's questions as to trading for Lauri Markkanen come from how he plays. I think it's A, what you would have to give up to get him, and B, how much he makes, which those two things go hand in hand. Lauri Markkanen makes $46.3. We can round it up because it's almost $46.4 million. The Suns, a trade of Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks does work. I don't know if Utah would do that. Utah would probably want one of your young players. So you would maybe have to throw in a Ryan Dunn in there, which of course still works money-wise. Maybe you would have to throw in a Kaman Malawach there, which of course would still work money-wise. The reality of the situation is we just saw a team build around 3 high-paid players, and it didn't work. So I don't know if you can build a good team around Devin Booker, Jalen Green, and Lauri Markkanen. So the question is, do you A, want to give up and trade Jalen Green, and B, would the Utah Jazz even want him as the centerpiece of a package?
Well, I can tell you right now, the Utah Jazz do not want another guard with that roster that they have right now. They already have a glutton of guards that all can do things in a different way from one another, but they just traded Colin Sexton to open up some space. They still don't. It's like when you go in your phone and you delete photos because you're trying to create space and you just don't have any after deleting 50 some odd pictures. I just went through that. That's why it's very fresh in my memory. They don't want another guard, so I imagine he gets rerouted to a third team. But the question for me is, and I would love both of y'all's opinions, is Lauri Markkanen a better fit next to Devin Booker than Jalen Green is, in respect to what we've seen as the context that Jordan Knott is establishing right now as well?
I think so. I think it's tough because we haven't seen Jalen Green play next to Devin Booker, but obviously you're looking at 2 shooting guards there. I mean, I think just positionally speaking, and Ayrton, you could tell me if you disagree. I think positionally speaking, that's a pretty yes answer that he would be a better fit.
Yeah, I think definitely. I touched on it yesterday, kind of with the Bradley Beal and the Jalen Green comparisons that Chat was throwing out, but the game that Jalen plays is so much different than Bradley Beal, and that's also the same when it comes to Lauri, too. Their games are just so much different, and Steven said in the chat here, Lauri's kind of like the anti-Dunn. He's got offense, but the defense isn't really there. I kind of agree with this a little bit, and I would like to see Ryan Dunn's defense in our system first.
So let's talk about this then. Let's say they don't want Jalen Green, the Jalen Green third team thing. I mean, by all reports, that wasn't really an option in the Kevin Durant trade. I'm going to say it's probably not an option, for Phoenix. So keeping Book and Green, how could the Suns find a way to get Lauri Markkanen? Well, Dillon Brooks is going to be a main salary piece going out. So you're losing that grit, that determination that Dillon Brooks brings. You got to throw Grayson Allen in there, of course, also for salary purposes. And then you're looking at 2 veteran forwards for a team in Utah. The Suns don't have a first-round pick that they could trade right now. It's an Ainge running the show, so they want a first-round pick. So what do you have to send in exchange? Well, you probably have to send Kaman Malawach. And then do you have to send a Ryan Dunn, right? Do you have to send a more proven young player than somebody who hasn't played it? And obviously you get in the season, maybe you see different things. The more I look at this, Steven, and as much as I love in theory the fit of Lauri Markkanen, this is not something that if I'm the Phoenix Suns front office that I'm rushing to do. I think who you have to give up and how you've built this roster and all the great things that we've talked about it, I don't know if I want to sacrifice that just yet. I want to maybe see how this rolls, and then maybe at the trade deadline we can revisit this. But as of right now, I'm good because A, Lauri's contract is huge. B, you're either giving up Jalen Green plus stuff or a bunch of stuff because you don't have draft picks, and I just think that's too much of a hit to the young core that you've built. As of right now, my opinion could maybe change later.
I understand that for sure. That's a lot to have to give up to get him in return. And and that's why I'm emphasizing for the Suns going into this season, finding ways to reestablish your treasure trove of assets.
Yeah.
Especially on the draft capital side. Because that makes making decisions like this a lot easier without having to gut your talent that you have already on your roster to appease a team and make that trade happen. So I hear you on that part. Question for you though. What if Jordan is brought a proposition in terms of the Lauri Markkanen trade template, and he feels that Lauri is a piece that will add more value to the system that he's establishing, obviously around Devin Booker, but also in tandem with someone like Mark Williams in the front court.
I don't know if you can bank on building around Mark Williams, because we're talking about right now. If we're talking about trade deadline, we've seen what we've got. You know, we've seen Mark Williams string together a healthy season, or we're getting to next offseason, and Mark Williams is extended or is on this team, then yeah, you can look to build around him. I think it's hard to say that Jordan Ott wouldn't look at Lauri Markkanen as a piece that he would be salivating, scheming around and everything like that. I
ask it because, like we just got done talking about, you don't have draft capital, so you have to dip into your asset pool of young talent.
Yeah.
If Malawach is included and you just traded 2 first-round picks for Mark Williams, you're clearly going to be investing in that guy if you're sending your first-round pick from this past draft out to bring another talent in. You're not going to allow for him to just walk.
Yeah.
I imagine that's a vote of confidence to what they see in their future with Mark Williams. And that naturally is why I asked for that in tandem with Lauri Markkanen.
I just don't think that you can make that decision right now. I don't think you can. I don't think they should make any trades right now unless somebody wants to overpay for like Royce O'Neal. Even Grayson, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that right now. And maybe I'm just drinking too much of the Kool-Aid on this team right now. And I know that we feel very good after the first preseason game and just diving into this team all summer. But I'm not ready to move on from anybody right now on this roster for Lauri. That being said, though, it is something to definitely keep tabs on throughout the season and how he plays. And if his value goes up, because he had the worst season of his career last year. Let's also like acknowledge that. He had of his prime career. I know that early on he was struggling to kind of find his place in the league. He didn't have the greatest season last year. Now, Utah wasn't great last year.
And that's what I was going to say. Context matters.
Yeah.
You put a winning player around winning pieces, even just one more than he had in Utah, that player turns into an all-star again.
Yeah. And again, I think I don't want to give up on Kaman Malawach. I don't want to give up on Ryan Dunn. I don't want to give up on Rasheer. And maybe that's the wrong move. And it might not be the right move to not give up on those players, but I think you owe it to this roster, you owe it to this team to see what they have first. Like Stephen in the chat says, there is no right now with the Suns. They're building, can't compromise it in the first season of a regular season tool. Lauri is also under contract. He is extended, so it's not like he's going to be hitting a free agency anytime soon. So he might be somebody that is available a little bit later, and maybe there is a better fit, especially on the defensive side of things, that could bring there. Interesting stuff with Lauri Markkanen.
And I'll just close with, he had a bad season last year with a bad team. But what he did do was go back to Finland for Euro Championships and played some of the best basketball that he's played in the last few years. So that's a direct example of good player on bad team, bad ecosystem. It's hard to be better than that. But then you go to another iteration of a team, even for an abbreviated season, and you immediately see, oh yeah, that guy's pretty good. Like, yeah, that's sometimes it's as simple as a player being in the context that supplements what they do.
Let us know what you think. Should the Phoenix Suns at least look into trading for Lauri Markkanen, and where will his next team be if it's not in Phoenix? Drop a comment, leave a like, and we're going to keep on going here. It was clear, like you mentioned, Lauri Markkanen a game changer over in Eurobasket, but how could the Suns be game changers in the Western Conference? There are some things they're going to need to improve on and add to on an individual standpoint. We're going to go through all of it after our first break. I love Rally House. I love repping my local team. I do it literally every single day, all the time. My favorite location is the Tempe Marketplace location, but not to be outdone by Mesa and Glendale. Those are amazing locations as well. And they don't just have shirts, right? They have shirts, jackets, shorts, pants, signage, coolers, socks, drinkware. They even have sunscreen at Rally House. And the best part is no bum teams like the Chicago Cubs or the Baltimore Ravens out there that you could find at these stores. It is all Arizona, all local sports, all the time. And every time you visit Rally House, you're guaranteed to find something new, unique, and that matches your game day vibe. So go find your local Rally House in Tempe, Mesa, or Glendale today. Or you could shop their entire product assortment online with hundreds of pages, not just options, pages at www.rallyhouse.com. Head over there today. Also today, there is a big game going on in the Valley with Game 3 of the WNBA Finals.
A must-win Game 3 for them.
Gotta have it, must-win, do-or-die, critical Game 3, and you could be there with Game Time, and you're thinking to yourself, well, Eric, the game tips off in an hour and 45 minutes. I can't get tickets. Yeah, you can. You can get it on Game Time because Game Time has exclusive deals for you, complete upfront pricing, a view from your seat, all the fees totally included so you're not shocked at the end of your checkout experience, and the closest that you get to kickoff, tip-off, puck drop, whatever it might be, those ticket prices will go down. And it's not just for sports, it's also for concerts, live music, theater, comedy, and everything in between. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Shout out to Stephen, Rodney, Ashley, Big Bear, Deborah, Lexville, Killer Rex, Aiden, Freckled Mamba in the chat, Steven in the chat, Ashley in the chat, Metallicop in the chat as well. Appreciate all of you tapping in with us here on a hump day.
Question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
When was the last time you saw one of your favorite teams win a championship? You watch your tone when you talking about my teams. All right, we can go on with the show.
I can't even talk crap about the Baltimore Ravens because I'm a Cardinals fan. You can join me.
Birds.
Oh, actually, screw you. ASU Big 12 Championship last year, buddy.
The real birds.
ASU Big 12 Championship last year, pal. Okay. How about that? Don't shake your head, Ayrton. I was there. I was on site for that. It meant something to me. Okay. By the way, speaking of ASU, next Friday, come by the Rally House location at Tempe Marketplace for a live show at 5:30 as ASU prepares to take on Texas Tech. Anthony Totri, myself, and Shane Diefenbach will be out there at Tempe Marketplace. We're giving away $5 $50 gift cards in person Friday, October 17th at the Rally House location in Tempe Marketplace, my favorite Rally House location. Super excited to be there before Texas Tech and ASU face off next Friday. Let's stop talking about football. Let's talk about basketball. What we're going to do is we're going to go through most of the players on the roster. Huh?
I ain't started.
We're going to go through most of the players on the roster, and we're going to pick one thing each that we would like for them to improve on this season and how it could help the team context in general. We're going to have to go kind of fast because we spent a lot of time talking about Lauri Markkanen, and you got big things to do tonight. So let's start with the number one player on the team in more ways than one, from the number that he wears to the face of the franchise to the number one option, Devin Booker. What would you like Devin Booker to add or improve on in his game to help the Phoenix Suns be a game changer this season?
Yeah, for me, I want to see him continue to grow into his playmaking. So he made exponential growth last season, and I feel like we documented it well. I did multiple studies on his growth as a playmaker last season. But now it's a different team context around him, not some of the same tools that he had to add to his ability to manipulate the game as he did last season. No Kevin Durant spaced around him to play off of that gravity and things like that. So where does he go and how does he grow into the next step of his manipulation of the game? And that's balancing the scoring with the playmaking, but continuing to kind of leverage both into a top-tier type of player.
I think it's interesting because a lot of the talk around Devin Booker this year has been focused around the scoring part of his game, not being as passive, shooting out of double teams, not passing out of those double teams as much. But if he does, let's say, improve to 8+ assists per game with this roster specifically and how he's going to have to set guys up to score, which is a little bit different than dumping the ball to Kevin Durant and getting out of the way, which wasn't exactly what he did for all of his assists last year, but certainly helped. That would make him a top what passer in the NBA? Top 10, top 8? If he's averaging 8 assists per game plus?
That's probably top 7, which is about where he was last season.
As a shooting guard, as a top 10, top 5 on any given night scorer in the NBA as well. That would be a pretty significant jump. And I'll be honest with you, it's an angle I haven't thought about with Devin Booker as much. And they might need him to do that even more than the scoring to set up guys like Jalen Green to be in the right position, Mark Williams to be in the right position. But I think he could do it. He's gotten better at playmaking every single year. I don't see why this year would be any worse.
Yeah. I think he's in a great position to be that. And I think, again, some of it is going to be his skill development and just continuing to grow and continuing to watch the game slow down for him. But it's also going to be, and I keep bringing it up because it's as important as anything, having a system conducive to complementing the best player. You can't put a value on those things. Devin Booker has been someone he's risen above the tides of a team at times and still found ways to be productive and effective and efficient with the scoring and the playmaking. Now imagine that in a system, maybe less top-end talent than last 3-4 seasons had for him, but a system that's more conducive to putting him in those positions to make a defense pay with his scoring ability or his playmaking ability.
Yeah.
And what does that do for his game all around?
Well, I agree with what you said. I think any improvement from Devin Booker in any facet of the game means a top 15, top 10 player gets better. That's always great. Mm-hmm. I would love to see a career high in three-point percentage from him. We got the attempts down. Check. Devin Booker is taking enough three-pointers. He could probably take more, but I'm fine with the amount that he's been attempting. It's on par with a guy like Jalen Brunson, right? Mm-hmm. Who also upped his three-point attempts. Mm-hmm. It's the percentage. I need you to hit a higher clip from your deep ball percentage, and if you're going to take more of them, that's going to up your scoring. That's going to open up the floor, open up the game so much more for your team. So if I could pick one thing, I would just like him to be a little bit better from deep this year.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the barometer for whether he gets to that, half of the barometer for if he gets to 30 on average or not. Mm-hmm. The other half is free throws, which is naturally a barometer for his aggressive nature or the force that he's playing with. But, yeah, he finds that three ball. Talked with Ayrton about it before the season started, and obviously we saw it with the preseason game. Screens being set higher up the floor means if a big's not getting all the way up, the pull-up three is there. And he's someone that enjoys taking pull-up threes. Mm-hmm. Now, the efficiency is varied. If he's able to streamline that to 37, 38% on those 7 or 8 attempts he's taking, maybe even more in Jordan Knox's system, that's a prolific scorer right there.
Yeah. I think out of any player that we talk about today, it's going to be the hardest for Devin Booker to make significant improvements considering where he's already been. This next guy, I think, is the perfect balance of already has a lot of talent, but a ton of room to grow. We just talked about him yesterday in our entire deep dive on Jalen Green. You just did a film session on him, so we don't have to spend too much time because I feel like we really dove into this week already. Sure. But if you could pick one thing, just one, for Jalen Green to improve on and be a game changer for the Suns, it would be what?
Balance. Balance in shot profile, balance in playmaking versus scoring, balance in what shots he's taking, when he's taking them, just all around balance. I mentioned yesterday he's a car that we don't want to give free ass to. A sports vehicle, two doors, usually red, has a horse on it, goes very fast. Mm. You can have that, but also you want to be layered in having not just one or two ways that you can go about putting pressure on opponents. And if he finds that balance and also is able to find balance in scoring on the ball while having impact off it, his cutting, his ability to play off the catch, I think those things are really going to be what adds a layer to his game where I think he can average 25 or more a game this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think balance is a really great word just for Jalen Green in general. Mm-hmm. I put high-level decision-making. We talked about him making reads and making passes, and it kind of plays into the balance, right? Because high-level decision-making doesn't just come with literally passing the ball. It's when do you shoot? How do you shoot it? What's your shot profile? How are you defending? Are you gambling a lot, which is something he likes to do on defense? Are you taking the right gambles on defense, right? Are you attacking the rim when you need to put pressure on the rim? Are you shooting enough threes? Just being a smarter basketball player. And not that he wasn't smart. I think that that's like kind of a lazy way to analyze people's games. But like getting smarter is still something that I think he can do. I don't think he's a dumb basketball player. I just think there are sometimes there are decisions that are made that you would prefer if he made a different one. And I think it'd be better for him if he made different ones. So that's kind of what I put. Those are two kind of all-encompassing things. I think if I had to choose one thing like on the court, just specifically what will you get a lot better on, I would just say passing the ball, right? And I think that's a completely fair analysis of his game. If he scores the same amount of points, but his passing upticks, that's probably going to unlock Devin Booker to be a much better scorer this season. Ryan Dunn. I think this one, there's a really, really clear one. But there's one with me that's almost more clear. Let's start with what you think Ryan Dunn or would hope that Ryan Dunn could add.
Yeah, everybody wants him to take more threes and hit more threes, so that was an easy one. Past that, though, because there's more to his growth, for me, it's finding creative ways to get downhill. So I'll start with the Grayson Allen dynamic in it, and then I'll get to the Mikal Bridges dynamic in it. So the Grayson Allen dynamic. One thing about Grayson, and I will be speaking to him about this at some point during the season, probably a few times. I already talked to him about it once through the lens of speaking about Ryan Dunn. Stampede catches. So imagine somebody that's standing still. Devin Booker passed the ball to them. Defender is rotating from trying to close the gap on Devin Booker to the person that's receiving the ball. Grayson Allen is very good with the skill of running through the catch, like a wide receiver shortening the distance from passer to receiver, but that also creating driving lanes from that. So a dynamic touch. Mm-hmm. If Ryan can add more of that to his game, that's going to unlock his ability to get downhill more. That's where he's at his best. Similarly, when you get to the other part of it that I was speaking to, the Mikal Bridges of it all, screen under, stay under. All of the movement, typically he's spending time either in the high corner or the deep corner on the outer pockets of the court. If he's flowing into set screens that flip matchups because teams don't want to concede downhill for Devin Booker, and he's able to screen that person that's on the ball, stay underneath them, get into a short roll situation where he's playing 4-on-3s downhill, finishing, playing off of 2 feet, making good decisions to pass it out, scoring the ball, getting to the free throw line. If he can spend more time in the paint, but make it easier on himself, he'll be really good.
Yeah, and that's more easily added to your game than hitting threes, right?
It's an in addition to.
Well, yeah, and I think they're both mental for sure, but I think mentally it's going to be a lot easier for Ryan Dunn to just be more aggressive in that sense. Mm-hmm. Stephen with a V in the chat's just stealing my flow, which is kind of messed up. Stephen with a V says, don't foul everyone, Ryan Dunn. Yeah, defending without fouling, because that means he's off the court. And the more that he's off the court, I think the worse it is for his long-term development. Sorry, I know how much worse it is for his long-term development. Yep. Ryan Dunn is an incredible defensive player. His biggest liability defensively is the fact that he likes to foul, or he's prone to foul. Now, part of that is a reputation thing that hopefully he continues to grow and earn from the referees. They allow guys like a Lugan Stewart or like a Dillon Brooks, a Draymond Green to be a little bit more physical. I also just think part of that is picking your spots and picking your moments. When are you going to be handsy? When are you just going to slide your feet? When are you going to be really aggressive picking up somebody like Luka Doncic at half court? And when are you going to understand that, I can't be very aggressive on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander knows how to draw a foul and knows how to get the refs to call that. So who are you defending? How are you defending them? I think the better that he can get is being that point of attack stalwart without picking up 2-3 early fouls. That's going to be really massive for his long-term development.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the best point of attack defenders. Amen Thompson. You look at a little bit of Herb Jones, Lou Dort. Obviously, you look at Dyson Daniels. They're all different. They're all different in how they go about doing the job. But what's unique and something that's similar, I'll throw Drew Holiday in there as well. There's a discipline. Davion Mitchell, probably my favorite example. There's a discipline with them to where because they don't gamble and they slide their feet and they stay in front of the ball, it forces the person with the ball to go to counters. That's when the ball is most vulnerable. If you're able to stay solid and take away an initial, you slide your feet, get chest to chest, that breaks the rhythm of the ball handler. They try to change directions. Now you give yourself opportunity to go for a pluck, to pick the pocket or tap it a certain direction. Mm-hmm. There's a build up to it. And I think when he continues to kind of dip his toe into the chest of that, that's when he's going to be his best self at the point of attack.
Yeah, and I think there's a balance, too. You don't want to not foul. I mean, the next guy we're going to talk about, Dillon Brooks, he fouls. But he's physical, he's a tone setter, but he kind of knows and toes that line. I think with Dunn, it's a little bit more of a chaotic, I guess not even much as a choice, but just a chaotic thing for him. With Dillon Brooks, I think this one's really funny because I would say if anybody is who they are on this roster, if that makes sense, it is Dillon Brooks. So this is maybe the most pie in the sky thing. Dillon Brooks will be playing the 4 for the team. Dillon Brooks does like posting up. Can he be a more effective post-up scorer and efficient playmaker out of that position? If he can do that, that would be a massive addition, not just to the starting lineup, but for all of what Jordan Ott's game plan could be, especially when they face fellow semi-undersized 4s and 5s.
Yeah, I wonder how much of his post-ups and Nigel's post-ups they lean into. I imagine Dillon gets more of that opportunity if either gets any within the offense that they're playing. But obviously that's somewhere where he's been comfortable and he scored well. He scored weller than people probably imagine, especially in his Grizzlies days from that area of the floor, especially his last season with Memphis. I like it. I just wonder how much they lean into it, though.
Sure, but the thing is, maybe not effective from a sense of like, okay, let's dump the ball into Dillon Brooks a couple of possessions out of each quarter and see what happens. But more, man, we need something. Man, Dillon Brooks has a mismatch, right? Like somebody got switched out.
Yep.
Let's get Jalen Green to pass him the ball and let's have him kind of go to work and tire that guy out, especially if it's maybe a ball handling guard that has a lot of energy. I don't know if you want to post up Steph Curry, though. That's kind of that might not be the right small guard.
It worked
to
for
post
Houston
up.
when they went to it
it's
in
fair.
the playoffs.
And so I think that with that specifically, maybe that's like the lowest ceiling raiser I think they have, but it would be a nice little wrinkle to have in this offense, especially if Mark Williams isn't healthy, because Oso Ighodaro doesn't necessarily have a post game. Nick Richards doesn't necessarily have a post game. Come on, Malawatch, we know as of right now, does not really have a post game. Mark has the most post game out of any big man on this team.
Devin Booker has the best post game
overall.
Yes. Mark Williams is the best
big man. Yeah.
Yep.
Having somebody who can do that alongside an Oso and Nick Richards or whoever might be there, that would be nice, especially because he has proven it, at least more so on an NBA level than Nigel Hayes-Davis.
For sure. And I think, again, that's why I brought it up with Nigel and I brought it up with Brooks when he was traded for. They're going to need switch beaters. You can't run as many actions. If they're switching when Devin Booker is getting a screen from Dillon Brooks and he has a smaller person there, either that's going to get a reaction from the rest of the defense or he can do what he needs to do to put the ball in the basket or get fouled, all of which will be a positive for the Suns. So I think those switch beating dynamics will be important. For me, defensive versatility. And I think that's the side of the ball where he identifies most. That's where his claim to relevance and fame was on the defensive end with those grit and grind Grizzlies 2.0, and obviously with Houston last year. I mentioned it before. He's guarded a lot of centers over the last season and a half playing next to Şengün. That's something I feel like they can unlock Mark Williams and his prowess around the rim as a rim deterrent and rim protector because of Dillon Brooks' ability to kind of guard fives and then flip those picks in the screen or in the switches and things like that. I think that's going to be important for them if they want to be the defensive team that they're claiming they want to be.
Yeah. I forget which one of the timeline guys it was that had brought this up, but they mentioned like Dillon Brooks' percentage of time guarding all the different positions in the NBA. It's pretty evenly spread out. So if he can continue to do that for this team specifically, who's going to need him to wear a lot of hats, like that's going to be very, very important for this team.
It's evenly spread out because he can guard one.
Because he can do it.
He just spends time guarding 3 possessions at a time in one possession.
He's a beast. I can't wait to watch him more.
And you see the tone that he set.
Yeah.
People always want to throw the word leadership around. You see how everybody responds when he's defending at practice and in game 1 of preseason. That's very much it.
Not in preseason. We're not going to be able to see him until game 1 of the regular season is Mark Williams. Now, I'm doing a disclaimer on this. We're not allowed to say health. We're not allowed to say health on this one, okay? I think there's a lot of different ways you can go with Mark. But if he had to add a new layer to his game that I think would make this offense intriguing, it would be a nice release valve for especially this starting lineup. Give me a legit mid-range jumper. Not like the short 10 to 12 footers. I'm talking like legit mid-range free throw line and beyond jumper. Not as something you build your offense around. You're not dumping the ball to him like LaMarcus Aldridge for a post fade or a pick and pop there from, like 18 feet out. But how many times do plays break down? When a guy is driving to the rim, they get 2 to the rim. If Mark Williams isn't in the dunker spot or if he's spread out a little bit, if he's just comfortable taking that mid-range shot, that would be a really, really nice little safety net for this team to have. So besides health, I think that's something I would really like to see him improve on and possibly add as a wrinkle to his game.
For sure. I like it. I think to the release valve point that you brought up, I think the midi is a solve within that. I would like to see him continue to grow in his ability to invert actions for the Suns. So he's not going to be running pick and rolls, but what he can do is handle the ball on the perimeter.
Has he between the legs, Mark Williams?
Yeah, between the leg into a dribble handoff is what I'm getting at. I want to see him be able to be sharp with setting the dribble handoffs, but that transition point from dribble handoff is being passed to the ball handler, and then that screen that's being set, because that puts a big in an impossible situation. You set a good screen, that guard is coming off with a full head of steam to get the ball, and now he has opportunity to either roll downhill and push that switch into a post-up, which is going to garner extra attention, and then you allow for yourself to play off of passes from there, or just flat out passing the ball. He sets the screen for Devin Booker, plays off the pop, and now he goes into an empty DHO with Jalen Green. And if Jalen Green's top lock, the back door is there, behind a backdoor pass, maybe you just keep it in the air and let him do what he does as an athlete. But I think that discernment and that snappiness in decision-making is going to be important. For me, though, defensive versatility. And it's in tandem with what I mentioned with Dillon Brooks, but with Mark defending in space, can you bring his drop a little bit higher up the floor while he can still be an athlete and get back to the basket so that you're not conceding pull-up threes and you're not putting pressure on your screen navigators to have to stay attached? I think if you can play him in space a little better, get a little bit more out of him in his drop, be a little bit more active, he can be a top 15 center in the league as a starter this season.
And also, I think there's probably at least one person right now, whether they're watching live, which thank you. Please hit the like button and subscribe button if you feel so inclined, or somebody listening on audio who could definitely be rating 5 stars, who's probably saying, well, why doesn't he just become a legitimate 3-point shooter? Right. And all the things that we're talking about, we want it to feel like it's like a legitimate progression. And the 3-pointer is something where maybe in a couple of seasons, Mark Williams can add that to his game, or if he's just going to Brook Lopez it this season, I think that's pretty unlikely. But I get why somebody would be like, well, if he could just shoot threes, then that would be a really big help. Well, yeah, but we're going to take it kind of one step at a time. We've covered the starting 5. There are a lot of players off the bench. We're going to get into them. And again, you got a game to cover, so we might have to do a little rapid fire at the end of it, but we're going to get to all of it right after our final break. There's never an ordinary moment in Arizona sports that's complimentary and derogatory. And there's never an ordinary moment with Bet365. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, college sports, pro sports, Russian badminton, whatever it is, Bet365 has a line for it. They have odds for it, and they have a deal for it as well. If you are not checking the Bet365 app every single day to see what types of boosted same-game parlays they have, safety net offers, they have like different types of games that you can sign up and enter to win, like, you got to be doing that. And right now, new customers will get $200 in bonus bets. When you bet $5, win or lose, sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for $5, and get $200 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, or more. And whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 53342, or visit promgambling.az.gov. Cut me open, I bleed DFCU blue. I love Desert Financial Credit Union. They've been in my family for literal generations, from my parents' parents to my parents to me, from the first time that I got my first job back in high school to right this day. I've always been using Desert Financial Credit Union, and for more than 84 years, they've been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. And they put their money where their mouth is, quite literally, because right now, when you open up a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. You can get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 and look to Desert Financial for your basics, your checkings, your savings accounts, but of course also mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. If you have any question with finance, they have smiling faces ready to answer any questions you might have at all of their Valley locations. And once again, get $200 in bonuses when you open up a free checking account online. Once again, desertfinancial.com/200.
I thought you was going to Leon and Lewis route. I'm talking about getting cut open.
Big Bear, Sean, Killer X, Freckled Mamba, Steven, Ashley, Deborah, whole crew out here watching us. Another big turnout on a Wednesday here. Thank you all for doing that. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. It really does help us out so much and help introduce us to new Suns fans, because that's just what we want to do, is talk Suns basketball with Suns fans. Same thing if you're listening on audio. A 5-star review can go such a long way in helping a new Suns fan find us.
Also, hey, you. Yes, you right there. Pointing at you listeners on audio, too, if you're not watching us on YouTube. If you have Suns fan friends or Suns interested friends and you haven't told them about us,
ouch.
we got beef. Don't be gatekeeping us.
Beef.
Not gatekeep us.
Wow. Would you say we have beef?
You and me?
Yeah.
Nah, just
Good. I just needed people to hear that.
Nah, not until you start talking crazy about teams, and I will politely put you back in your place with that. But outside of that, no beef. We good. We Gucci.
Good. I'm glad. I just needed people to hear that. Yes, just spread the word. Spread the word. We just love talking hoop, right? That's just it. We have a lot of players to get into on the bench, so we'll do this a little bit quicker. Let's start with our presumed sixth man.
Mm-hmm.
Grayson Allen.
Big G.
Obviously, Grayson Allen, a huge asset from beyond the three-point land.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look on the other side of the ball, though. Can Grayson Allen be one of the better, or at least one of the more pesky perimeter defenders on this team? If he can add that, the different lineups with Jalen Green, with Devin Booker, with him maybe sliding over to the 3 in some of these lineups, that would be amazing.
Yeah, Grayson being a little more attached to the ball defensively, I think would be a major asset for the team for sure. I think naturally, you give him the best group of rim protectors that he's had in his son's tenure, helps him be more successful. Grayson has been very good with a specific thing, and it doesn't get the most attention, but it will with this team. When you get into either getting blown by from the perimeter, but being able to stay attached, or you're in pick and roll and you're navigating the screen, and a late switch takes place where the big has to take over for the person who was guarding the ball as the ball handler threatens to score downhill. When that big has to step up, that guard has to get into the legs of the big. And Grayson's very strong for a guard.
Yeah.
His ability to get into the legs of a big and take them out of rebounding positioning so that the big that's guarding who switched with him can do their job in rim deterrence or rim protection. Very integral and important to being a good defense. He also takes away that dump-off pass as well because he's able to kind of get into the legs of that big.
So I didn't think Grayson had a great year defensively last year, but I never looked at him as somebody who wasn't trying or somebody who was making the wrong decisions or that was in the wrong place. Yep. I know a lot is said about Grayson's weight and his conditioning, and obviously there was a really big emphasis on that from Grayson and from the staff over the summer. I just think that he had lost a little bit of a step. And in the NBA, you lose a little bit of a step, and you're with the personnel that you were with last year and the coaching system that you were in last year. It's just going to be highlighted. He's insulated better. I think he is literally insulated less personally, as in he's a little bit leaner. He's got less on him. And I think that mixed with the good IQ, the good willpower, the good, just kind of like defense is such an effort thing. And I think he's always had the effort. I do think that he will really improve this. But how much better can he get? Can he be one of the better perimeter defenders on this team? I don't know. If he can be, one of two things happened. Either one, great leap for Grayson Allen defensively, or two, the perimeter defense for some of the other players on this team isn't what we expected it to be. But if it's the former instead of the latter, he's going to be playing a lot of minutes this year. And that would be really good for both sides of the ball.
For sure. I think he's better when the ecosystem he's existing in defensively is comprehensively better as well. He's going to be someone that rises with the tides.
Yeah.
And I know I've used that a couple of times, but I feel like it's the perfect encapsulation of why certain players don't do well in certain systems versus why they do better in others.
Yeah.
Grayson is going to be a better defender if the team defense, if they're better in their shell. And for me, offensively for him, sneaky good at the rim on volume and attempts, playing through contact and ones and getting to the free throw line. He's really good with that. He has one of the best Pinoy steps. So you have the Euro step, but you have the Pinoy step. It's a crossover to that. He's one of the best in the league with that. In pick and roll, if he's running pick and rolls, and he's not going to run the same volume as Jalen Green and Devin Booker, but if he's running pick and rolls, what is that doing for Jalen Green or Devin Booker when they're on the floor with him? That's putting those guys off the ball. That's going to put help defenders in the position where they have to make decisions. Where Jalen and Devin are usually passing it to Grayson. What if he's doing that? Are they making the same help decisions? And if not, he's getting downhill. And at that point, making sharp reads is what I'm looking at.
It's literally impossible for us to go fast on these. We just get so in the weeds. We're just like,
I'm just not gonna skimp on them.
No, I know, and I just say
sure.
it's so funny
Sure.
because I'm looking at the time. I'm like, man, we're out of time, but like, this is awesome.
Sure.
Like, this is just a great conversation.
Sure.
I think the next one is pretty basic for me. I think Royce O'Neal, just like kind of Dillon Brooks, is who he is.
Mm-hmm.
If I could pick one thing, please, no massive valleys. The peaks and the valleys with Royce O'Neal, you ride the highest of highs and then the lowest of lows.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just a little bit more evened out? I know you'll go through slumps, but Sean says that's what OT is for. Sean, he's got a Mercury game to get to. He's got a finals game to cover. As much as he wants to talk about
happening as we speak.
As much as we want to talk about Kobe Brea, I think the finals game probably trumps that. Maybe I could just stick around. But with Royce O'Neal, I just a little more consistency.
Yeah. For me with Royce, very similar to Dillon Brooks. They're very similar in stature, similar in matchups that they've taken on for their respective teams. Even with Yusuf Nurkic, the past couple seasons, we've seen when he's been on the floor with Royce O'Neal, Royce has taken on fives, especially with the Frank Vogel team, and Nurkic has guarded non-shooters, and how that's helped Nurkic be more impactful with his defense because he doesn't have to defend in space. He lessens the volume of pick and rolls that he's defending against. Similarly to what I said with Dillon Brooks, Royce O'Neal can have that same impact guarding fives, being strong and being able to kind of flip picks into switches and allow for Mark Williams to kind of control things behind them. They can do a little bit of that with Nick Richards as well. If you can add that, I think that's important for them.
What would you add for Colin Gillespie?
Mid-range pull-up. Prolific pull-up three-point shooter. Very, very good with that. Jordan Knox going to lean more into that. When he does get inside the three-point line, what's the decision-making? Because there's pull-up pockets that I feel like he's comfortable taking, but he passes up and then sometimes takes a more contested shot. So kind of finding that spot to settle in on the midi pull-ups and letting that be a counterpunch for him in pick and roll.
Counterpunch is where I stuck as well, but I went above average finishing at the rim. As much as I want the mid-range
That's why
there.
I got the midi there because
I know
it's just a size thing when he's going up against
But if
the
he
trees.
could, because he's strong.
Sure.
That's the thing with the rebounds. Like Colin Gillespie does not like mind the physicality and the contact. And in a dream scenario, if he could be above average in finishing at the rim, the paint and the three-pointer will be where he thrives and where he'll be the most efficient. And then I think that third counter is at mid-range. So like if I'm going in order, the kind of counter I want, especially for him, he's quick, he's strong. If he can get downhill, it's not impossible for somebody his size to be effective around the paint. You can find different ways to do it, right? Whether it's TJ McConnell basically taking like a 6-foot pull-up jumper, or Jalen Brunson is the best, obviously representation of this, is just bully ball down there. And I know he's not Jalen Brunson.
They went to the same school. Though.
But if he can be the type of guy that could be crafty around the rim and physical around the rim and continue to shoot the numbers that he was shooting from deep on more attempts and more minutes than last year, I mean, that would be great. Shout out to B Entertainment. Shout out.
That man copy and paste.
He always, bro. I get it.
Shout out to bro.
Sean, Merck tips off at 5 local time, so like an hour and 12 minutes. So he still needs to get to the game. But we're not going to run up right to the game. Freckle Mamba says Oso needs to teach Colin a floater.
Big Bear Colin is definitely an underrated playmaker, 1,000%.
For sure. And I don't think that's a part of his game I really need him to like.
He's good enough there. He's good enough there.
The mid-range and the paint. I think those are the two number one things that you'd like to see out of him, and that would make him a more complete, maybe 6th man of the year candidate. But Nigel Ace Davis. This one for me is pretty easy. Catch and shoot consistency. We saw one of them off movement, catch and shoot in game 1, and then after that, it kind of went off a hill. I love the post-ups from him. I like the layer that can bring. I love the hustle. I love the defense. But at the end of the day, I need him to be a really consistent catch and shoot three-point shooter.
I like it. I think you can kind of get to it in the same context, but for Nigel, manipulating the game with screens. And for me, it's because he's a threat to roll downhill. He's a threat to flip a switch and then post up against that switch and then play make off of the attention that switch gets. Because he's also someone that can ghost a screen like Grayson Allen does, like Royce O'Neal does, or just shallow cut somebody that's on the ball that triggers a switch. Being able to pull at the levers of whatever a team's defensive scheme is regarding their switch principles, whether they're switching on touch, whether they're switching when players exchange positions, he has a certain IQ that will allow for them to create reactions on the ball without actually running an action. So imagine it's a pick and roll, nothing happens with that. They do a good job defending it. Now here he comes flying in, and he just runs right underneath where Devin Booker is and where his matchup is. What that does to the two defenders in that, how that entails, and how that allows for Devin Booker to either get downhill or create opportunity for himself.
Big Bear in the chat says, I haven't seen much film of Nigel, to be honest. Well,
we got something for you on that.
Yeah. I saw him.
Put the one shot
I
up.
saw him.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Already up on the channel right now.
Yeah.
From a couple months ago, kind of feels like now.
I think it was in July, August.
Yeah,
August.
like right after he signed, really, it felt like. Nigel Hayes Davis film breakdown. We also talked to him in studio as well. If you want to hear from him, definitely worth diving into because he is one of the few pieces on the Suns this year that have a big opportunity to shock some people. And if
you
can be
brag
that
to
guy,
your friends and say, hey, I already knew that about him.
Yeah. And then you could share the film session with your friends. And if
Big
you're a
facts.
diehard, you can watch the extra portion of the film session. That's for diehards only.
Mm-hmm.
About Nick Richards. This one, Midi Jimbo season, we saw him shoot the Midi Jimbo a lot last year.
Harlem Globe try to
It's
pair in a
true.
word.
It's true, man.
Jimbo
It's true.
is crazy in 2025.
It's true, man. And he was doing it. We were talking about it all last year. Like, hey, did you notice that he shot a mid-range shot today? And you notice he actually shot pretty well from the mid-range shot today. I guess just more frequency, consistency with that. Nick Richards also one of those guys that it's like he is who he is. It feels like I don't know what massive improvement we're going to see from Nick Richards.
Yeah, I think that's a solve for him in pick and roll. In tandem with that, another solve is the decision on the midi to take that, like you said, on that short roll, but it's short roll decision making for me. So if you get it on the short roll, are you just taking one dribble because you're usually around the free throw line, putting your shoulder into that big that's trying to get back to you from showing on the pick and roll? Are you able to just put them on your shoulder and then score off of that? Are you making quick reads when they're getting two to the ball and making that decision from the middle third of the court to either spray pass it to the corner, strong side kick, or kick it to the opposite 45, making those decisions with a certain type of cadence?
Yeah.
I think that was what I spoke to when he got traded for last season. I'm curious where he is with that going into this season, as well as the decision to just go and score for himself with the pull-up or getting downhill.
Yeah, I think he's just the type of guy that really needs to continue to fit into the team context, right? And I think the exciting part about him is that we can see it, right?
Sure.
And I think that we saw him, the Mike Budenholzer curse was so real that when he walked in, he was 20 and 20, and then it was like, okay, then he was benched, and then he was in and out, and then he wasn't used properly. I think if he's used properly, he could be an effective backup center. If he can add a little bit of touch, a little bit of mid-range shot to his game, maybe a little bit of playmaking, defensive versatility. These are all things that if your backup center can add one of those, that's going to be a pretty big jump. But maybe he's not the backup center. Maybe it's Oso Iguodala.
Could be.
This one was the easiest one for me to pick. And I quote, hit your free throws. Hit your free throws. Hit your free throws. For the love of all that is holy, hit your free throws. Thank you.
I feel you.
Like, seriously, dude, I don't care if he makes any other improvement in his game this year. If he can shoot above 68% from the free throw line, like maybe 70-ish, 70, 75%, I'll cry.
For me, it's countering some of the coverages and matchups that he saw.
It's not hit your free throws?
Well, because you got to build up to that point. You got to get there. And if you're getting there, it's because you're putting force on opponents. So for me, it's the decisions to drive, being able to put some of the matchups that he was seeing last season in a different situation, where with the Budenholzer system, if he had a small that was on him, he was rendered somewhat least impactful on the court offensively because if he sets a screen, it's just turned into a switch. So if he's able to be someone that can run pick and rolls like we saw him do 2 or 3 possessions in preseason game 1, the inverted pick and rolls, what is that doing for him in terms of getting downhill? Similarly, it's same to Ryan Dunn. Being able to set those screens and get underneath them at different angles and then play off of the short roll. Bring those guys into action. Don't allow for them to be perimeter laden because they're putting smaller guys on him because they know he doesn't really have like a post game, if you will.
Yeah. There's a lot that hopefully he can add to his game. I can't. 1 for 6. 1 for 6. I hated that. I've made a decision in my head, Stephen, and I have not consulted any of you about this. But what we're gonna do here is we're winding down on the hour. We're gonna kind of look over the stuff that we already talked about today. We're gonna pick maybe a couple that are possibly the most likely of the improvements that we've talked about. Then you got to head off to Mercury practice. Then I'm going to handle the rookies and the two-way guys, the bench guys. Ayrton and I will hold that down a little bit just to round out this conversation because there are a lot of people here, and I think there are people who want to hear a little more ball talk for that.
So let them know what I said too, since we got our list already.
No, I don't think so. Okay, actually, before we get out of here, you did add one for Jordan Ott. So why don't we put a bow on the conversation with you with Jordan Ott? What do you need to see hopefully out of him? In order for the Suns to be game changers this season?
Yeah, it's very simple. Full-fledged buy-in. And I feel like they're already well in that process. You're seeing guys buy into it because of that first preseason game and how successful they were from it. Just buying into the little things that he has them doing, buying into the system he has them operating out of offensively and defensively, buying into the culture that he's establishing. Full-fledged buy-in, and I put in parentheses alignment, because
#alignment.
You know how that go.
Ayrton
get that shirt
sent
on
clip to our
still.
text message thread yesterday. And it's Brian Gregory being like, as I like to say, alignment, and he's just got the cutest little smile on his face, man. He's just so happy.
Man, we need Brian Gregory to hop on the pod.
Could you
and
dude,
just say alignment so that we can have it recorded and everything. You just press a button every time we want
alignment. I mean, yeah, we could probably cut it because
we were
he said it so many
before
times. It's so funny. You track the kind of the timeline of this all, right? Brian Gregory gets hired. The dude word vomits in his first press conference. I'm not going to mince words. He word vomits in his first press conference, especially the word alignment. So much so that it becomes a joke. Okay, that's point 2 of the timeline, right? Then after it becomes a joke, you start to see them actually execute on it. You're like, wait a second. Okay, now we're kind of buying into this joke. Now it's to the point where alignment is a term of endearment from this fan base about this franchise, and it actually means something. That's pretty awesome.
Brian Gregory is a culture setter, is what it sounds like to me.
Honestly,
change the language.
Maybe alignment doesn't lead to wins. A lot of people have won the offseason as their fans in a tizzy before, but hey, maybe it does. Maybe it does. If you had to pick, we've talked about the starters. We've talked about Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Colin Gillespie, Nigel Hayes-Davis, Nick Richards, Oso Ighodaro, and Jordan Ott. Which one is maybe the biggest pipe dream that you would like, and which one is maybe the most likely outcome that you could see happening? But before we get to your answer, I want to remind everybody that is watching on TV that the party does continue always over at GoPHNX.com, not just with the Suns, but with every other beat, including the Mercury. We'll have a post-game show after tonight's finals game. But one pipe dream, one semi-realistic.
The pipe dream might be the Grayson pick and roll reads, just because he might not even need that. I just think it'll be an added bonus type thing if he is able to bring that to the fold for them. I think the one that's most likely is the full-fledged buy-in.
Yeah,
with Jordan Ott.
I like that. I think most likely is. Ooh, this is a tough one. Most likely, I think it might be Grayson Allen perimeter defense. Okay. I really feel like he's going to be set up in a good spot from his conditioning standpoint.
They simplified what he has to do because of the rim protection. For sure.
I think that's probably the most likely. And then the biggest pipe dream, I'd probably say book career high 3-point percentage. Biggest pipe dream, but also possibly the most effective. Any final thoughts from you before you scurry off to Mercury land and we handle the rest of things here over in Suns land?
It's going to be a fun Suns season.
Yes. Say it again.
It's going to be a fun Suns season.
There's going to
be a lot. There's going to be a very fun Suns season.
Oh, I love it.
Simply because there is a overwhelming care factor that this team has to how they approach the day-to-day, and it's felt at practice. But you can also see it already in the bones of it in the foundation laying preseason game 1.
Yep. Well, you're going to pack up your stuff, head over there. Of course, tune in at PHNX_Mercury is going to be doing live coverage of the game at Stephen PG3 is where you can find him on Twitter. That's Stephen with a PH because he balances us out. He'll be covering the Mercury in incredible fashion throughout this finals run. Need a must-win tonight to go down. Erica and Stephen will have a post-game show on this very channel produced by Kevin. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fun. It's either a good place to cry or it's a good place to celebrate, all right here on PHNX, so make sure you tap in with that.
I'm gonna check back later to see if you read off.
I'm gonna read yours off, but like, there's no way that I could do it the same amount of justice as if you were to say it.
Try your best.
I mean, I'm gonna try, but like,
I'll grade, but try your best.
Let's just be honest.
Okay.
Let's just be honest with ourselves.
Try your best.
Okay, I will. Context. Screening,
A+
pick and roll, inverted. Alignment, identity.
Not from the guys that we just got done talking about. You got it though.
All right. I appreciate everybody tuning in here in overtime. And now that we're in overtime, may I say, Oso Godaro, hit your fucking free throws. Thank you very much. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Shout out to the Freckled Mambo who's going to be holding it down for me. Mighty Mercury's in the chat. I love it. Let's go to the rookies, right? We've covered the bench. Let's get to the rookies here. I want to start with Rasheer Fleming. Now, Freckled Mamba, I think there's a lot with Rasheer Fleming that we could talk about. I think you talk about, defensive versatility on the perimeter, corner three-point shooting, and I 100% agree with that. I think a dark horse thing and what I kind of want to focus on is, can Rasheer Fleming protect the rim? The length, the build, maybe the ability to be a true small ball five for this team. I think that is something that if he can do that, he'll probably be, at least build-wise, the best forward option at protecting the rim and possibly the best small ball five option on this team, which I think might lean into that.
Mine is kind of similar to yours. The amount of games you have in college is so much less than what you have in the NBA, and I think we say it with Mark Williams all the time, availability is the best ability. And I think seeing Rasheer Fleming be able to be there for not all 82, but for 70 games too much for a rookie? I don't think so.
I depends on if he's getting run right off the bat, then I think you look at 70, but is he even in the rotation off the start? I think is a pretty big question for all the rookies, but also for Rasheer.
Yeah, I think if he does get the minutes, I would just like to see him be an NBA player. And I know that sounds maybe kind of disrespectful to him, as graded to be mid first round, late first round, and we got him early in the second. But I really do just want to see Rasheer Fleming be an NBA player because he is so just captivating from where we got him, what he has. So that is what I want to see from him.
Body type wise, he certainly is an NBA player. Obviously, a big part of that is his jump shots. That's what Stephen wants out of Rasheer Fleming. His base into jump shots / willingness to let it fly. He's going to be open. Like he's going to be open. And one of the things that he even said when he got drafted was, I can't wait to hit shots for the Suns. I can't wait to hit threes. He's going to be open. He's going to have a lot of opportunities, especially as a corner three-point shooter. If he can do that and do what I said and do what you said, he becomes instantly one of the most versatile options on this team, right? And that's exciting in prospects and hopefully something that he could develop by the end of the season. Get that confidence up, get that three-point shot up, and become a versatile defender who can also roam at the rim. That's a first-round pick.
I think something cool with Rasheer too, we see it a lot in modern NBA now, is that you find gems, like you find career NBA players in the second round, like late in the second round, throughout the second round. And I think Rasheer Fleming has a unique opportunity to be one of those people. And I think he can do that in year one, prove himself like that in year one.
I agree. And I mean, a lot of people graded him as a first round guy. I mean, I think a lot of people were shocked that he slipped in the second round. I know I was. So can he play like a first round guy? I think he probably has the best chance out of all the rookies to get the most minutes. But let's talk about Kaman Malawach, right? Let's talk about the number 10 overall pick. And by the way, chat, y'all can let me know. Let us know in the chat what you think, and I'll read off some of those as well. With Kaman, you could go a lot of anywhere, right? He's the ultimate project. So what do you want to see? Him finishing around the rim, the ability to shoot threes. Like, you could really say anything just translating to an NBA level. From a mentality standpoint, what I want to see from Kaman Malawach and what I think will get him minutes is I want him to be an asshole. I want him to be an asshole. I want him to throw dudes around. I want him to fight for rebounds. I want him to defend well in the paint, and I want him to finish at the rim. All of those things encapsulate him being an asshole. And one of the things that was one of the big detractors from him in college, from scouts that we had talked to, that we had on the show, was he wasn't physical enough, right? And hopefully being around a Dillon Brooks, right, is something that can kind of ignite that, adding on the muscle, adding on the weight and everything. So that's kind of my big thing with Kaman. Do you agree, Freckled Mamba?
So you must want / think that Kaman is baby villain.
I think he could be. I don't know. He's really nice. He's just a nice dude.
That's my
Sean.
thing with that, is that unfortunately I think, and this isn't like a bad thing. So when I say unfortunately, it's like parenthesis or preface this, is that like being in a quote like bad guy in basketball is great when you're a Dillon Brooks guy, but Kaman Malawach is like turning him into a quote bad guy. I feel like would be taking away some of his like qualities that he brings to this team. You
Like
know what
what?
I mean?
No, I don't want him to like be like a literal asshole. I don't want him to be like mean to his teammates or whatever. I just need him to play with a little extra umph.
Yeah,
Play with that extra level of physicality that you need to play with in the NBA.
and I think, yeah, now that you say that, I think especially with his body improvements that we've seen so far so quickly, I think that it can happen, honestly.
I just threw Steven his
forgot
phone.
his phone.
A lot of fun things happening in overtime here. With Steven, who I just threw him his phone that he forgot. He said streamlining a specific group of skills for Kaman Malawach. And that kind of plays into what I had talked about before, which was you could really say anything with him. I think the most realistic, streamlined set of skills that you're going to see from him this year or this season would be interior defense, rim protection, right? Purely off the measurables alone. He's a guy that could roam around the rim, who can block shots, who can alter shots, and that's a really big deal. We saw him do it a ton in college. If he can streamline that, that's effective. He could be a backup center with that. If he can streamline rolling to the rim, catching lobs, being a paint threat on both sides of the ball, that would be awesome. Or would you rather, Ayrton, he focus on maybe some of the more unique skills that he could bring, right? Initiating on offense, pick and pop, shooting threes. What would you rather him attempt to streamline in his rookie year? The more basic stuff that big men do, or maybe some of the more complicated stuff that would raise his ceiling at the end of the day?
I think for him being, I mean, we say it all the time, 18-year-old, fifth year playing basketball, like you got to hammer down the basics, especially in your first season in an NBA facility. I think working with them on the basics is going to not only set him up career-wise, but also set him up just like better with the Suns to be the first lottery pick of the Jordan Knott era. Like Jordan Knott has his opportunity to turn Kaman Malawach into the Jordan Knott center. So with that, also, I have a question for you.
Hit me.
Would Kaman Malawach reach like a starter level or borderline starter level if he worked more on his defensive game or more on his offensive game?
Immediately, it's his defensive game. Because if you can be an elite defender, an elite at the basics at that size, you're a starting caliber center. Point blank period. We want to talk about all-star. We want to talk about top 10 pick. We want to talk about a guy that's one of the best centers in the NBA. It's the extra stuff. But it's baby steps. And like Jeff says in the chat, he's got to be patient with him. He's only played like 4 years of organized basketball, right? It's going to be a process with Kaman. He's going to be good. By the way, Jeff Blazer in the chat, just ripping great basketball takes. Love to see it. Thank you for being here. Yeah, once he gets his timing down on both ends of the court, I think he could be a starting caliber center just based off of physicality and size alone. So it's going to be fun. Last rookie to talk about, I guess we also have CJ Huntley that we could touch on briefly. Kobe Brea. With Kobe Brea, obviously the shooting. Like he's got an NBA caliber skill. He was the best shooter in the country multiple seasons over, whether it was at Dayton or whether it was at Kentucky. The main thing with him is hanging in there on an NBA level on defense. I don't need him to be an elite defender. I don't need him to be a stalwart. I don't need him to be one of the best defenders on the court. You just can't be, as Stephen would term, a pigeon. Right? You can't be a traffic cone, right? You can't be the weak link on defense. Or if you are the weak link, not to a point where it's so glaring that your shooting doesn't matter. It's going to be really fun to see if you can guard above a regular level at the G League, because that's what you're going to need to do if you're getting reps down there for the Valley Suns, is not just be a competent defender. You're going to need to be an above average defender to hang in there on an NBA level.
Yeah, I think Kobe Brea, like obviously he's got the shooting, and the contrast of the shooting, like when you're a shooter, to stay on the floor, you need to be able to defend. That goes hand in hand. We haven't really seen Kobe Brea on the floor too much with the Suns this season, whether it be Summer League or getting 0 minutes in the first preseason game. So this is kind of a cop-out maybe, but the thing I'd like to see from Kobe Bryant is just minutes on an NBA floor. I think we need to see him in NBA games before we can really like determine what place we want to take him in his development.
100% agree. A couple other guys, we'll go really quickly here. Oh, I forgot to say what Steven said. Sorry. For come on, we already answered that. So for Kobe Bryant, holding up to a defensive scheme. Boom, boom, boom. That's called hashtag alignment, folks. Jordan Goodwin, any offense whatsoever. Any offense whatsoever would be nice from Jordan Goodwin. Steven says developing a screening relationship with Booker and Green and short roll reads. I guess that is a role on offense. He can play a little bit more like a big man, even though he is a point guard. I'm not expecting a ton from him. Honestly, I'd be shocked if he ends the season on the Suns, but we'll see as far as injuries and depth goes. And then you have Jared Butler, who's not really even on the roster. I'd like to see him, at least in his preseason game, just not try to be the hero. Play your role, my guy. Appreciate you, but play your role. And then CJ Huntley and Isaiah Livers. Isaiah Livers hit the 3-ball. All right. If you can hit the 3-ball as a forward, that'll be great. CJ Huntley, just put on a little bit of weight.
Did you see the video of Booker hitting that crazy shot in practice?
Yeah,
Did
with
you
the
see
double team.
He was guarding him. Isaiah Livers, he looked like he was moving with Booker really
well.
well.
I like Livers.
I'm excited for what he has defensively.
Honestly, Brea, Livers, Huntley, I think Livers is the most likely to get the most NBA minutes this year.
I agree.
I like Livers, but he's just coming off an injury. We'll have to see how he plays. Deborah wraps it up well. Excited for this season. Super excited for this season. Super excited for tomorrow. We're going to break down and dive into basically a pregame show for the China game. And then guess what? It's breakfast with the boys on Friday. We'll be doing a post-game show for the 5 a.m. tip-off. Now, we are psychos and sickos in that way. We are not doing a post-game show for the Sunday 4 a.m. tip-off. It gets to a point, folks, where you got to say no. And Sunday is one of those. We'll be up watching, but we're not going to be doing a post-game show. But, of course, we'll be covering all of the preseason games, all the regular season games, all right here on PHNX Suns. Once we get to that final preseason game, we'll be doing a pre- and a post-game live, and then pre- and post-game plus watch-alongs. Pre- and post-game for every game. Watch-alongs for a lot more games this year than we did last year, live in between it. And, of course, all the coverage you could possibly handle over at PHNX_Suns. That is on Twitter, and that is on Instagram. So make sure you give us a follow there. We appreciate Fisherton behind the Mac making all the magic happen. You can follow him at Freckled Mamba. Of course, you can follow my esteemed co-host who abandoned me so recklessly to go cover a finals game. I guess where's his priorities at? No, I'm just kidding. Big shout out to Steven. You can follow him at StevenPG3. That's for Suns and Mercury coverage. Reminder, Steven will be boots on the ground, our reporter, in person for Suns games this season, at training camp, at shoot-around, at practices, at the games, at media availability. Steven's going to be there. So an absolute must follow at StevenPG3. We will see you all on Friday. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. Tap in with the Mercury Show tonight. Win or loss, the best place to talk about it is right here on PHNX Sports with Erica, Steven, and Kevo. Gonna be a great time no matter what, even if we're crying. Mighty Mercury. Let's go win one the hard way, and we'll talk to y'all tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.